Today is Saturday, November 6th, 2021. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 41, Week 7.
We got a slightly better result in this week's episode. I'm guessing that's going to be reflected in the feedback.
Probably since there's 35 people who chimed in.
We're back into the 30s, folks. All right, so we got some people who are anxious to talk about Survivor. Some of them still aren't so happy.
That's okay.
That's all right.
It is what it is.
Some of them are just downright ecstatic because that was quite the tribal council for them.
All right. Well, let's see what they have to say.
Let's dig in. First up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston here. Wow. Holy cow. What a phenomenal episode, man. Now I kind of feel like the season is living up to its expectations. That being said, I'm letting out a great big woo! Now sing with me. This is for Cindy. Na 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 na. Hey hey hey. Goodbye. Wow, what a doozy woozy episode. And Cindy's last word says it all. Oh, I'm a diva. Oh, blah blah blah. I don't care about these people. I think it's only right she doesn't make the jury. Though I did sort of feel bad for her, and I respected that she took the risk, even though she lost her vote there at the end. But she gave it all she had. But wow, I'll be remiss. How about Xander, guys? That fake idol. I was buffaloed. That was pure genius by Xander there. Who would have thought he would outdo both Shan and Liliana there? So that advantage was a complete waste there. Wow. Wow, wow. You know, I give Xander props, man. I didn't think he had it in him. He's playing the game well. But I think now you're going to not say too much to Tiffany. She's a big, big wild card. And when she has information, she'll screw you. I underestimated her too. And I'm so glad Evie stayed. My heart was pounding for her. It really was. And then I'm yelling at the television saying, give her the idol. Give her the idol, Tiffany. Come on. And the way they showed it, I thought she was going to go and my heart was going to break. But it was Cindy. Her own blue tribe voted against her, including Nazir. So there you go. So I don't know, guys. The one thing I'm worried about is that alliance with Shan, Deshawn, Danny, Nazir is kind of in it, and Liliana. Is that going to stay true? Is that going to be like the cookout version of Survivor, like what happened in Big Brother? Because that's the only thing now. It's too bad they couldn't get rid of Deshawn, though I am kind of glad Deshawn stays. I do like him. And Ricard winning the challenge, good on him. That's all we saw with Ricard. So let's see now how these idols work. And it looks like Deshawn, I guess, used his extra vote. I think he voted for Evie twice, as it turned out. Anyway, guys, great episode. Now we'll start to see Ponderosa. Not this week, next week. Curious to see what happens. If there'll be one extra clip, I'm guessing, the way it is now. What an awesome episode. I am stoked. Well, I love it. Woo!
Woo. Thanks, Pete. What do you think? Is that a tight alliance going to hold?
We'll see.
Next up, we got a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Christiana from Massachusetts calling in with my feedback from this merge episode. So, basically, my entire internal monologue when watching this episode was, Xander, what are you doing? Xander, stop talking. Xander, are you dumb? Xander, you should give the idol to Tiffany. That would be unexpected. Why are we giving it to Evie? Oh, what's happening? Why are you playing with the idol when Liana can see you? Oh, it's a fake? Oh, you did give the idol to Tiffany? Xander, you're a genius. So basically, after watching him fumble and like kind of just be screwed by his circumstances for the whole season, he came alive in this episode, and it was so awesome to watch as a viewer. And I thought, again, giving the idol to Tiffany, me and my friend thought we thought of that. Turns out they thought of it, so that's good. Is the level of forward thinking needed in this game, a la Parvati giving idols to Sandra and Jerry because she knew that those were the people most likely to be voted out by the heroes. It's this level of thinking where you know what you think, and you also know what someone else thinks, and you know what someone else thinks you think. So then you can change what you're going to do something expected. And on a human-to-human level, it's really fascinating to watch. It's one of the things I love about this show. Tiffany and Xander have absolute nerves of steel. I was so impressed with them just sitting there, not playing the idol, totally just cutting Sydney loose, not caring. Whereas Evie was sweating it out and did not have the faith. So I feel like that her days are probably numbered. I don't know how much closer she can fly to the sun, so to speak, without getting burned and ultimately being voted off. Other thoughts, Erica, Nasir, and or Heather should totally flip. They're clearly on the bottom of that other alliance, and that would make for an interesting game. But without that, I don't really know where Tiff, Evie, and Xander are going. But so far, it's been really awesome to watch them, and I love when the underdogs get to take down the plans of the dominating alliance. I am interested in hearing what everyone else has to say, and I hope everyone has a great weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Christiana. Next up, we've got an email from Erin in Canada. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I missed writing in last week because my husband and I were away on vacation for our baby moon.
All right.
It was a lovely, relaxing time, but wow, what a merge. I had to look up what baby moon was. I did not know that. The champion music that played when Erica ascended on the stage, emerging like a lioness, was wild. I thought, wow, this is very produced. Truer words have never been spoken when Deshawn said, "It's not the game I'm used to," when referring to the twist. I think overall the players took the change humbly, and they were well fed from the feast and ready for the challenge that required fine motor skills with your feet. Wow, that would have been hard. I love the fake idol that Xander played and the many flashbacks that are happening this season. Why wouldn't they take this time to get Shan out? It is so clear she's running the game. Well,
she
first,
didn't have immunity.
Yeah, she was immune this time. So, but I understand where you're going with that. Live tribals are not my favorite when they're running around whispering. Jeff should have control of when it is time to vote. But it does make it obvious when Heather and Erica are the only ones still seated that they are on the outs. If you watch closely, you will see them up and about in the discussions. But I had the exact same impression, and I even wrote that in my notes. And then we watched it the second time, and I was like, hold on. They're up there in one of those huddles right now.
I think one reason Erica didn't get up to start with was that Deshawn whispered something to her first.
Right.
And then got up and started talking to other people.
Share it with other people.
But then when they got up and did it again for a second time, both of Heather and Erica were in the huddle.
You can't see Heather hardly back there. You can just see her blonde bob just to the side of Danny. But they are included back there. Okay. I had to giggle when I saw a funny pic of Where's Waldo online, and it said, "Where's Heather?" Oh man, poor lady. She gets less screen time than Tiffany's eye rolls alone. That's true. As far as winner's edit goes, I'm still unsure who's going to win the game, so we shall see. Oh, and tea and popcorn is my Survivor snack on Thursday evenings as I watch a day later. Loved all the advantages played, and I hope this game keeps up. This gameplay keeps up. Have a great week. Thanks, Erin.
All right.
Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hi, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert calling from Canada with my listener feedback. I hope everyone enjoyed this last episode. It was definitely refreshing to see no new advantages get played, and seeing an advantage that I think a lot of people don't agree with get spoiled. That was nice, too. At the immunity challenge, I thought Sydney would have had it in the bag, but I was surprised by how well Evie and Ricard did. When Evie lost, I was all but certain that I was going to get another vote-off point, but alas, it wasn't meant to be. On to Tribal Council, we got a live Tribal Council, which I'm never a fan of, but hey, at least there was subtitles, right? I was hoping that Xander would be smart enough to give Tiffany his idol since nobody would suspect her to have it. So when he made his big bluff, I knew that was exactly what he did. And although it seemed obvious to probably most of the viewers, him and Evie sold it really, really well. And I was happy to see Liana's advantage get spoiled. It's hard to say if Deshawn needed to play his extra vote. I was doing the math, and with the shot in the dark, he definitely didn't need to. But if Sydney didn't play it, then it would have been a 4-4-4 vote split. So it may have ended up sort of being the same thing afterwards anyway. I'm still trying to figure out who I'll pick as my new USB. The only player I feel absolutely certain is going to make the finale is Heather, but I don't like her chances of winning. Heather has to be the most invisible player I've ever seen on Survivor. And I just hope that she's spending all of her time when she's invisible fabricating a story about how she's playing the best under-the-radar game that anyone's ever seen. I think I'm going to pick Xander as my new USB. I think he has a tough road to the finale, and he might have to win it on an immunity streak like Mike Holloway, but he's been probably one of my favorite players to watch so far this season. Well, that's all from me. I look forward to hearing everyone else's feedback, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Robert.
I know that you and I have talked about sometimes you just want to choose somebody for your new USB that you will enjoy cheering for.
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes it's just that simple.
That's why I could see choosing Xander in that sense.
I, however, don't want to let go of a possible 24 points.
In one of Sydney's many interviews that are out there, there seem to be more this week than I'm coming across more. She said that Deshawn and Evie were the two most gregarious social players. They were really out there, and that's part of the reason they got targeted, was that they have that kind of connection and can be entertaining with everyone, and so that makes them threatening, especially at this stage in the game.
Well, I'm sure that's why they went after Deshawn, but
that and there were limited targets of opportunity, but yes.
True.
Yep. Thanks again, Robert. Next up, we got a call from Sophie and Leila.
Hi, John and Stacey. This is Sophie.
And Leila.
And we just want to say hi, and it was a lot better episode, right?
Oh, good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I love Tribal Council and how everyone was scrambling to whisper and to find out what they were going to do. I found it really interesting. And it makes the Tribal Council feel like something's, I guess, crazy is about to happen.
Yeah. It was very nerve-wracking. Go Xander. And my husband loved it. He said it's the best episode of the season. He's going to continue watching, so it was a win-win all around. Great, can't wait. We hope we get this in time, and we definitely have to watch it again because we just watched it really late last night, and I just couldn't sleep. I want to watch it again right now.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Love you all. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, Leila. You guys
Glad to hear it.
did good, and thanks for telling us how it went better this week. We appreciated that.
How many times have we watched? 3 or 4?
Well, we just finished again while we were eating
Having
before we
breakfast,
started to record. That was 4. I'm pretty sure that was 4.
Okay.
Not counting like the specific
Well,
things
we're
that we
just going to watch
back
Tribal Council again.
Yeah. Whole thing. Well, we fast forwarded through some stuff, but
A few things.
yep. We totally get that. Next up, we got an email from Tina in NYC.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It has been a while since I wrote to you. I'm still alive and doing well.
Excellent.
We're glad to hear it. I did not understand the tribal drama and am now watching it again. I do enjoy all the strategic discussions. When I looked at my watch after the challenge was over, I knew it would get interesting. I loved that Xander seemed to really care for Evie, and I liked how he played his idol. Can you explain the difference between the two questions Liana was allowed to ask? Next time, I hope to write about Shan and Ricard and psychopathic traits. I am enjoying the season and will write again soon. All right. Thanks, Tina.
Yep. So the difference between the two questions, one was, do you have an advantage? And the other was, do you have an idol?
Idol.
So it
Yes.
was just that simple.
Yeah,
you had
she
to
could
pick.
have stolen an advantage, which would have been an extra vote.
Sure. Or information is power. Or
Well, that was
if there-
hers, so
if
I
there
don't
were-
think she could have
if there were
stolen
2,
hers.
but it's an example of an advantage that was in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yep, just
any
like that.
advantage she might have known about, but
Yeah. There we go. Thanks, Tina. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey, and hope you and all the Survivor fans are well. What a crazy, crazy episode. Just need to reiterate how goofy this turning back time theme is again. It's giving me honest to God Cher flashbacks. If you could turn back time, terrible song, way too traumatizing for me. But jokes aside, just a weird concept, and I bet Jeff in production pushed Erica to get all goofy and weird when explaining her decision. I agree with everyone, Jeff must have gone stir crazy in that long break. The decision itself, as well as its reasons, were really obvious, so no point really discussing it further. I don't really have anything to say for the challenge. I liked it. It's been done a few times from memory, and a good win by Ricard, who since separating from Shan looks to be playing his own game. Hope so anyway. I do rate him as a player, but the duo gave me bad vibes. You know when you have that friend that separately you guys are fine, you guys are pure souls, but when you connect up and meet up for the first time in a long time, you bring the worst out of each other and wreak havoc? That's them. So, the beach post-challenge, a lot of arcs forming. The main ones were my girl Tiffany literally blowing up Liana's game temporarily, exposing her advantage. It was just a genius move. She caught on last week, we saw that. Tiffany's going to pull these game-changing moves, but one thing I'm noticing is that she's really good at pulling people into her alliance. She's really good at forming these relationships, and the one that she's got at the moment, a very small one, was very effective, obviously. But don't want to talk about the rest. It was just way too crazy to track, and I was really tempted just to skip the tribal. Tribal was crazy, one of the craziest ones we've ever seen. If there's a checklist on what has to satisfy a crazy tribal, this would tick all the boxes, and maybe it created more today. Flashing your idol and promising to use it on your alliance member. Check. Openly discussing your advantages. Check. Fake idols popping off. Check. Advantages failing. Check. Live tribal breakout sessions. Check. But Xander, what a play. Rocketing high up there in my favourites at the moment, along with Tiff and Evie. The three of them control that tribal. What I was really fearful of was that it could backfire after all that hard work, because she did pull votes, but he was really adamant, and it just paid off. But it was so close. The margins were tight. And we know that, and this is a side note, with Sydney, who I am so happy to see the back of her, confirmed it with a post-tribal. It was a terrible post-tribal interview. I know she was butthurt, but yeah, if she had not played her shot in the dark, we would have seen something completely different. So that group of Heather, Shan and Liana got completely bamboozled by that play. I'm just not sure. How did Heather even get into this group of 3, or 2 to 3, if you want to put it that way? We've barely seen her. Is she going to be another Brett from Samoa? I hope not. The game has evolved since then, but it's just funny to still contrast their screen times and possible final position. Thanks for all that you do, and look forward to listening to everyone else. Thanks.
Thanks, Shaheen. Yeah, in one of Sydney's interviews, she mentioned that Ricard was a dancer, and that was part of why she thought he did so well at that and beat her right there at the end. He just had some kind of extra dexterity in his feet, I guess.
Surprised me, he and Evie both.
Yes, yeah, I didn't think Evie was going to be that good at all.
I underestimated them and their abilities. I did.
Very, very much so. And yeah, like Shaheen said in one of the interviews, Sydney said, yeah, if I hadn't done the shot in the dark, I think we would have tied, and then they would have voted Evie out. So the thing that struck me several times in the interviews is that she was talking about how tired she was at that tribal council, and it just sounded a bit like she gave up, and she didn't care, and she was looking for a quick way to be done. So we do see her pleading for the idol at one point, so she didn't completely give up and quit, but mentally it sounded like she had quit, or perhaps that's some revisionist history that happens often in the interviews.
Yeah, you read a little bit of one of the interviews to me.
I tell you what was constant in all of them. Okay. She is one vulgar person, just constant profanity.
I didn't know that. I didn't read.
She's like a tweener that just discovered cussing, but she never let go of it or something. Okay, thanks, Shaheen. Next up, we got a call from Michelle.
Hey guys, it's Michelle from Minnesota. First, they should have made one episode out of last week and this week's episode.
Amen.
It would have been totally epic. This week's episode was crazy, just about from start to finish, especially Tribal Council. I don't think I've ever seen a more chaotic and exciting Tribal Council. From the sneak peek of next week's episode, it looks like that's going to be about the same. I like it when somebody has secretly found an idol, stashes it, doesn't tell anyone, and then springs that on them after he or she is in the hot seat and after they've voted, and it's too late to do anything about it. I figured Erica would smash the hourglass and turn back time, but it really didn't seem to do her much good other than giving her immunity this week. As for Sydney going home this week, I was not at all unhappy about that. I really didn't like her because she acted like a spoiled brat pretty much any time we ever saw her. Sure, that could have led to some great drama, but sometimes that kind of toxic drama kind of ruins the show for me.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect Evie will need to fight for her life in the tribe next week and get the focus off of her somehow. Otherwise, I think she'll be the next to go, unfortunately. And I have to pick a new USB, and I'm not sure who to pick for that either. Nobody is really looking that safe to me at this point that they could go all the way to the end. I'll have to listen to the feedback show and see what everybody else thinks. And last but not least, I forgot one very important thing about my Survivor Night ritual when I told you about it in my voicemail last week. And that is talking to my buddy John from Michigan after the show each week. We text each other when we're done watching it, and then he calls me as soon as he can after that, as long as we're both still awake. Sometimes sleepiness gets the better of one or both of us, and then we have to talk the next day. When we do talk about it, we rehash everything to try and figure out what might happen for next week and who our tentative picks might be. It's the best part of the night. He's the one that got me into the JSFL League and listening to the podcast. He's been bugging me for years to help him make his picks, and then he wanted me to play, and I always said, nah, that's not for me. But now, thanks to his coaching, this is my first year, and I'm loving it. So thank you, John. I don't know how I could have forgotten him in telling you my ritual for Survivor Night. Good grief. Talk about a bad memory. Anyway, like you, Joanne and Stacy, my memory just ain't what it used to be. Well, on that note, I'll wrap it up for this week and talk to you guys next week. Thanks for all you do, Joanne and Stacy, and I hope everybody has a great week. Later. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Love it. And welcome to JSFL.
Yeah, and thank you, John, for bringing Michelle in.
Yeah.
So, good deal.
And,
got her hooked.
Yeah, and it does increase your tension, your stress, but in an exciting way, I hope, most of the time.
Yeah. Good deal. Next up, we got an email from Lisa in Connecticut. Joanne and Stacy, I'm not liking this season. It was obvious that Erica was going to break the hourglass, so there was no cliffhanger. I wish I could say this episode was exciting. Yes, it was the best so far, but with all these twists and turns, it just isn't Survivor. Butterflies, broccoli, and goats. It was absolutely ridiculous. It seems that this season is not about who can outwit, outplay, outlast, but rather who can maneuver through the twists the best. In some seasons, it was so exciting I would be yelling at the TV. In the early seasons, my husband would come rushing in the room and ask what was wrong. I would say, I'm watching Survivor. He would roll his eyes and then leave. I miss that. As for my Survivor routine, I remind my husband and son that it is Survivor night, and they know I am unavailable for that hour. This has been mentioned before. How about a season with no twists, no idols, nothing, just gameplay? I hope that Jeff listens to the fans and removes all these unnecessary extras for future seasons. Here's my take on the cast. Danny, I still like him, but I think the twists are getting to him. They certainly are. Sydney said that he really went at Jeff in Tribal Council.
Yeah, that they had to stop Tribal Council and address it. He was so upset.
Yep, so he was still holding on to that, understandably.
Yeah.
Deshaun, he seems accepting of the twist. He was my pick to win, but I'm not so sure anymore. I don't know, you could be sure of anyone at this stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Erica, she did the right thing by breaking the hourglass. She knew she was at the bottom, so it kept her in the game. Unlikely she'll last much longer. She really needs something big to change. See, Evie, she was so interested in this female alliance that the others took notice. If it wasn't for Xander, Yase would have lost over and over again. She owes a lot to Xander. It'll be interesting to see what their relationship will be. Heather, Purple Heather, nothing. Why isn't she getting airtime? A 5-second soundbite at Tribal isn't enough to form an opinion. Liana, why doesn't she like Xander and want him off? She was so single-minded about that, so when she got the fake community idol at Tribal, I was happy. Nasir, I do give him credit for finding the goats on AstroTurf, but he remains an outsider. Ricard, I don't like him, not sure why. Shan, I have a feeling she will win. Sydney, immature, glad she's gone. Tiffany, early in the season she reminded me of the mean girl in high school. I took an instant dislike towards her. She has yet to change my mind. Xander, what a gentleman for being willing to give Evie his idol. But with the knowledge he gained about her at Tribal, I wonder if he will continue to work with her. He's my favorite, however, I know he'll be voted out soon. I'm thinking in the next couple of episodes. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts. Thanks, Lisa. Next up, we got a call from Boother.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy, and all you Survivor fans. This is Boother calling in. Wow, that was the best episode this season. Erica has changed the course of history, and now we will see how she is able to adapt since she has turned on her Lulu tribe mates. I think she will be in trouble on the next episode. This tribal council vote was so close, and Sydney was sent home. Hard to believe that the Lulu tribe voted out one of their own. That just shows you how tight Chantal, Ricard, and Liana are with the decision makers on Lulu. That leaves Erica, Nasir, and Heather, who appear to be tag-along from that Lulu tribe. If the remaining Yasi tribe can convince them to jump ship, this combined group would now have the numbers to control the game and vote off those decision makers. As Jeff said, this game is a monster and is constantly changing. Well done, Xander, on keeping his idol in play. Finally, Tiffany and Evie didn't tell anyone about their plans. Poor Liana thinks her game is on the level of Sandra and Parvati. Our Liana, not even close. Put those big girl pants back where you found them. That's it for me. Bye.
I like that. Put those big girl pants back where you found them. You didn't earn those yet. Thanks, Boother. Next up, we got a call from Shay.
Hi, Joanne. Hi, Stacy. This is Shay. What an incredible episode. It just made me happy. I absolutely loved the challenge. It was really cool. And I was sitting there thinking the whole time, their stomach muscles have to be on fire. What a position to be stuck in. I love that everything got flipped on its head. I thought it was really cool for her to smash the hourglass and just make a move like that. But in doing so, she put two people I really like, Danny and Deshawn, kind of in trouble. But it was still fun to watch. I loved it. And Xander, what a game for him. I love every move he made. And I knew when he was at Tribal and was talking about his immunity idol so openly, knowing someone could ask for it, that it was a fake. I told my husband that is not real. And I was right, it wasn't. It was just a really great episode. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty, less people, more action. I'm really digging it. I can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say. And I love who went home. I love it. Love, love, love. Bye-bye. See ya. I'm hoping Pete sings her right on out. See ya. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Thanks, Shay.
Up next, we have email from Leina in Estonia. Hey, just a quick email in a busy week. I like this season. I like that there are many blurred lines and so much information going around. I also liked that you have to earn your way into the merged tribe. I don't think this will be the last season we'll see this twist where only half the people are safe. That's all for now. Bye. All right, thanks, Leina. Up next, we have audio from Brad.
Hey, Survivor fans. This is Brad from LA. I didn't call in last week because I literally couldn't make a decision about who to vote off, and I was all over the place. But you guys helped me come to the conclusion for my first correct pick with Sydney, so thank you.
Yay.
My second thing is, in this particular week, obviously it was an awesome episode. I think everyone's going to talk about a lot of the same things, but I just wanted to comment on how crazy good the performance of Evie and Xander was to pull off that many different things to stay alive, keep their idols, take Liana's advantage. That was just pure mastery, I think. I would say that's as good as the Micronesia dupe of taking someone's immunity idol and voting them off. That was just unbelievably good. And next week, I think it's going to be all about those idols and finding out where is Heather and Erica and Nasir. Can they realize that they're on the bottom on their side? I think Erica's an easy flip, but Heather, who knows? She voted with her Lulus again. There was a comment from Sydney in her EW article where she basically went off about Heather and what type of person she is. I mean, that's the first thing I've learned about Heather in this whole season. So I'm interested to see if they're going to start making moves or not. But I'm guessing not. So Nasir is my USB, and I think he's in trouble next week. So I hope I'm wrong. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, that was interesting I knew someone would try to dig a little deeper on the whole Sydney-Heather connection, and there were several things that came up that ended up being mentioned. One, Sydney was talking about how she was really eager to be a mom, and she was looking forward to being able to sort of have to bond over that with Heather and ask her questions about having kids and things like that, and then it didn't go the way she was hoping it would. She recognized that Heather was a person who liked to turn every conversation about herself.
Coming from Sydney.
From Sydney, yeah. So
really?
Yeah, and she mentioned that Heather said something to the effect that she didn't think much of Sydney's parents for letting her do certain things, and I think that soured the relationship. And so she said Heather talked constantly. Yeah, and she didn't ever really stop talking. So that seemed like Sydney saw some things in herself there. But it gives you a little more background on why they didn't get along, I suppose.
My first thought was Sydney thinking, why are we talking about you?
When we could be talking about me.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Brad. Great to have you calling in this week. Next up, we got a call from Mike.
Good morning, Survivor fans. This is Mike over in Cromwell, Connecticut. Wow, did that episode deliver? By far the best episode of the season. And did we need that? Did we need our Survivor adrenaline and juices to get flowing again? Absolutely. And what a great episode. I was so happy. And let's talk about it now. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. We got social gameplay. We got strategy. We had high drama. All three things combined in a beautiful hour episode. I think Liana's getting a little too cocky. I mean, we saw it. She thought she was controlling the game. She's turning on her old alliance so early. Xander, huge episode today. And let's talk about Shan. I just want to talk about Shan real quick. I think she's very smart. I think she wanted Evie to go home so Liana's numbers on that side go down, which makes even Liana trust her and rely on Shan even more. But does anybody have like a con artist feel about Shan? I don't know, man. Something about her is not right. But what I really liked about this episode was we got strategy at the camp. We saw the players play the game. And strategy is a little bit different this year because it's going to be on the idols, the advantages, and the powers that are in this game. Unlike other seasons where it might be about what players playing too hard, what players' personalities rubbing people the wrong way, we could complain about the twist, but it added drama to this episode. And Survivor might be changing. You might have to make strategy based on who has powers, who has advantages, and how to get them out of the game. So it did add a new element to this episode and season, and I will give the twists and advantages some credit here, even though I've been very critical. I also like how they showed Deshawn and Danny call out Jeff about, wow, this isn't the Survivor I'm used to. You told me that we'd be promised a merge. And Danny was upset, and I heard Deshawn was even more upset from a Sydney post-Tribal interview. I guess Deshawn really called out Jeff at Tribal, and they edited it to just his certain part, but Deshawn was not happy. So I kind of like how they showed the other side of the spectrum on that. But, wow, I mean, X, what an episode for him. Played Liana like a fiddle at Tribal. What's going on with these live Tribals? We might have to put a little shot clock NBA style on these guys. Make them sit down and talk strategy a little bit more out loud. But Survivor did show, what was going on to a certain extent. I'm going to say Evie is the next one to go, even though there's still an idol in the game. X could play it for her. Where's Erica going to go? Where's Heather going to go? Ricard's right in the middle as well. If I'm Tiffany, Xander, and Evie, I go to Erica and Heather, say, listen, you're on the bottom over there. there's an alliance going on. Come with us. But we'll see. The Black Alliance is still very strong. But what a great episode. It totally delivered, and I cannot be more happy with how tonight went. And hopefully you guys think the same way. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. You know who else is happy to see Liana's advantage go away?
Who?
Shan.
Of course.
Because it was a threat to her, too.
It absolutely was.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing I don't quite understand, though, still. I just don't know why. Well, yes, actually I do. I
don't know what you're talking about yet.
Okay, yeah,
so.
I'm getting there. But Shan and Liana completely bought Xander having the idol,
mm-hmm.
and they knew that he knew she had the power to take it.
Yep.
So that makes no sense that anyone would do that. Why did they not suspect something else going on?
Well,
Number one.
What have the three Yase women been doing and saying about Xander this whole time?
I know. I realize
They think
it's
he's
because
not smart.
they discounted him. They don't think he's smart, and that's
Even to the point of making fun of him.
And we even heard Shan discount Evie and think she wasn't smart enough.
Only to have
during the
Liana
episode,
jump to
yeah, and Liana go, "Oh yes,
to
she is."
Evie, yeah.
She absolutely is. But Shan had totally written Evie off as oh, she doesn't have any game. But that's why they believed that about Xander.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, that whole thing should not have gone down that way or worked. Now, I'm happy it worked. It was fun and all that. But if they were really not discounting people and their ability to play as hard as they are, then that would have never worked. They would have never believed that.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong?
I think that's certainly a part of it. Step one for Shan was to separate Liana from Tiffany. Check. Step two, get rid of any power that she has, any agency in the game, so that she's dependent on Shan. So she would have been happy if that worked, but she's just as fine if it blew up in Liana's face. It makes Liana even more dependent on Shan.
Well,
check. And
knowing that that particular thing is out of the game and cannot be used against her.
Right. Everybody
all knows she's got one too.
Yep, all a win for Shan.
And I still don't.
Pulls Liana closer again.
I guess as far as the tribal lines, I'm still not sure where Nasir, Erica, or Heather are 100%. They can go either way. So I'm not really sure. Nasir seemed to be working with everyone.
Well, I don't know.
Listening to everyone.
Yes. He had the ability to float through and hear both sides.
Yeah.
But I don't know that anyone sees him with value.
Well, do you think that's part of the reason he voted Sydney? Is that way he can still work both sides? I didn't vote for you. I didn't vote for you, Deshaun. I
think it was really easy for Nasir to vote for Sydney, given how Sydney treated him.
Yeah,
and I don't think that he forgot any of that. I don't think Nasir's the kind of guy that forgets that stuff.
Yeah, because he told her a bunch of information and didn't realize she was telling everybody else.
Yep.
So, yeah, could be. Anyway.
And he evidently was not a super provider on that tribe. So he wasn't bringing in fish, or we just assumed that was probably the case, given his skill set.
And that's something you got from Sydney.
From this, yeah. She was talking about, because they asked her about the spearfishing, and she said she did that because she wanted to feed Danny. Danny couldn't eat or drink the coconut, and it made him gag, and he couldn't eat the breadfruit. And Sydney said the breadfruit tasted horrible that Nasir brought to him.
I'm not fond of it either.
At one point, Danny had collapsed or fallen over. She later learned that he was faking, trying to look not so strong, since he looked incredibly strong. But so that made her think, look, I got to get Danny some food, and that's what sent her out to do the fishing. And, then she discovered that part about how she had some skill there. She even said she's gone on a trip since then. She was just I think she said she was down in Mexico, and she went spearfishing, and she was free diving down deep. She's kind of hooked on the whole thing now.
Well, and you said that she's determined to get back on Survivor.
Yeah, well, Yeah, she keeps talking that way, but it's that same bravado that you could hear. She also reaffirmed in just about every interview, that's not me putting on an act, that's really me. This is how I move through the world. So that
this is who I am.
Yeah, she's telling you if you if you don't accept that, then yeah, and like Michelle said, that sometimes that kind of stuff gets toxic quick. So, all right. Thanks, Mike. Next up, we got a call from Ann-n-John.
Hi, I'm John. And I'm Ann. John's got some good news.
This episode was better.
You liked it?
Well, I didn't really like it, but it was better.
Yeah, well, at least there was a tribal council.
And also, I got my vaccine this week.
Woohoo! That's
Yay.
exciting. Okay, that's all we got, guys. Excited to see what everybody has to say. Bye.
All right, thanks, Ann. Thanks, John. Good job, buddy.
I'm glad it was better.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got an email from Brian-Heidek-Save-Us. Hello, Survivor fans. It's been a few weeks since you last heard from me, and like a patient unleashing their built-up thoughts from the comfort of a therapist's couch, I find your podcast the perfect outlet, even if I may seem incoherent by the end of this. Way to own it. All right. What bothers me about this season is that I can't fully appreciate the payoffs that each episode so carefully attempts to craft. For example, Xander's use of a fake idol or the chaos that quickly ensued are all spoiled for me. Why? Because there is a monster looming this season. And as Jeff Probst tweeted before the season started, the monster is Hungary?
Hungry.
I know. How did that become Hungary? Is this a joke?
I don't think so. I think it's just a misspell.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Hungary. Now, what the monster represents may be open to multiple interpretations, but for me, the monster was created from a very loud minority on social media, and it has infiltrated the show I love. And this monster takes many forms. We now have contestants openly aligned based on race. We have a contestant that openly listed men as her pet peeve and predictably excluded all men from her initial alliance. We changed the lexicon of Survivor to virtue signal. Fun fact, it was used at least twice this episode. We have example after example of strength and aggressive play being punished, whether it's to all the players that found the initial immunity idols who were men, or a stronger tribe that rightfully won, having their immunity stripped in favor of the weaker tribe. And let's not forget the advantages that were nearly thrown at players' feet or given for simply sitting out a challenge. The message is clear. Strength will be punished and passive play will be rewarded as never before. Survivor strayed from its core tenets to outwit, outplay, and outlast. The intent of this new Survivor is to engineer a result that will satisfy the woke mob. Let me awkwardly pivot to the JSFL for a second. Okay, so that was really deep, but we're moving on to the JSFL. Interesting observation on the JSFL leaderboard. 5 of the top 6 players changed their USB pick, yours truly included. It turns out my initial USB has said all of 3 words this entire season, so I see the writing on the wall. If you want some unsolicited advice, pick a woman. Thank you for the free therapy session. All right, Brian-Heidek-Save-Us. Here we go. Next up, we got a call from Nicola-n-Jackson.
Hi, Survivor family. This is Nicola and
Jackson!
I let Jackson stay up late last night and watch Survivor. His mother busted us, but never mind. And what did you think of the episode?
I loved it! Tribal council especially.
That tribal council was pretty amazing, wasn't it?
Because how Xander tricked her.
Oh, when Xander tricked her and gave her the fake idol.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
It's gonna remind her of how she didn't play it correctly when she's back home.
She kind of lost her advantage. Well, back up a bit. I'm glad Erica smashed the glass. After listening to everybody's opinions and a couple other podcasts, and I figured that, maybe there was really nothing else she could do but break the hourglass. So I changed my vote out point to Evie, which I did not want to happen, so I'm glad that it didn't, but I was almost on the right track. And then when Xander and Evie and Tiffany were talking, and then Liana comes up on them, and they talk about playing the idol, and then she goes back and talks to Shan, and I figured they were going to do something. I figured that he was just going to give it to Evie to hold on to, but obviously they were afraid that she would also ask Evie for the idol instead of him. So they gave it to Tiffany. And I must say, I was sweating for Evie when Jeff asked if anybody wanted to play the idol. And Tiffany was, tell me what to do, it's your idol. So I thought it was pretty cool. It was a great tribal council. We knew it was going to be a long one because they went to tribal real early.
Yeah!
The other people who ended up having to do the challenge, I think they're going to be gunning for Erica. Still gunning for her, I believe.
Yeah, they're definitely going for her.
Yep. And then I just wanted to add, I don't have any survivor rituals right now. I used to, beforehand, when it was in different places, would try to cook something, especially for finale night or opening night, would try to cook some food from the culture that they were visiting or they were filming in. And we used to do that, but since it's been in Fiji for some time, I have not done that in a while. All right, and we will talk to you soon, Survivor family. Take care. Cheers.
Thanks, Nicola. Thanks, Jackson. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. So I watched the episode, listened to your recap. I was not as enchanted with this. I'm coming off of last week. I think that it kind of went through the motions and still some things that are pretty annoying to me. It was interesting, really interesting to me to hear all of the feedback last week, and most people seem to be echoing a lot of the same sentiments, which I don't know, kind of surprised me. And on the group too, there have been a lot of people who've been kind of jumping to superlatives about this season already. Full disclosure, I had Evie to go and Sydney safe, but I promise that is not, I can hear Stacey now, that's the reason why he didn't like this episode. No. People are talking about the Xander move, and, it was high drama, tribal council gold. But it was not the best move in Survivor history. Didn't he know about Liana's advantage? He would have been a complete moron not to pull something like that. He would have been a complete moron to walk in holding the idol, let's put it that way, because he knew that she knew he had it, and he knew what she had, right? So it's almost an avoidance of the worst move ever rather than the best move ever. So not super impressed. Like I said, it was exactly what Jeff wanted when he introduced all these ridiculous twists and turns and whatever. So I'm glad it paid off for his sake so he can sleep well tonight and pat himself on the back for some of this stuff. Someone said in the feedback a few weeks ago, I meant to respond to it sooner, but failed therapist Jeff. We all know that Jeff is a failed talk show host. So it's no surprise to me every time he asks someone how they feel. It's like a meme at this point. No, let's just play Survivor. People are already going to say how they feel, Jeff. You don't have to try to coax it out of them. So dumb. I'm over the live tribal council thing. I'm over it. Okay, I think they should make a rule that whatever said at tribal council has to be said for everyone to hear. And then if they really want to go live, they can really go live. But otherwise, it's not shocking. It's not alarming. It doesn't make things more intense or exciting. It just is annoying. How long is it going to last this time? They're just going to vote and just skip this part and get to the voting. It's funny that I said early on that my USB de facto was Sydney, and then she's voted out right here just before the merge. But, at least better than right after the merge when I may have kept her and then lost her first thing. So at least now I have a chance to go a completely fresh start. I thought that her closing remarks were fantastic. You know what? I'd be pretty bitter too. I think at least in the moment, and she said it's immature. She acknowledged that. Who can fault her for having a little bit of a disappointing moment? But as far as JSFL, you better watch out, Stacey, because I am well into the double digits, I think. Yeah. In fact, I might even already be in the 20s, already halfway through this season, so no idea what's going to happen next. This season makes it almost impossible to predict anything. I don't know how anyone is getting vote-out points. I don't know how anyone's getting their picks right, but I guess people are. All right, if I watch with the kids, I will call in real quick, but otherwise, everyone have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Drew.
Well, we all know that have played JSFL before is that Drew's only like 5 or 6 points behind the lead in the side challenge, and 5 or 6 points is nothing in the at the finale episode. there's a whole bunch of points available then, and it could go any which way. So, yeah, no, you're not out of it, Drew.
There's the flip side, too, which is, we're all so thankful that Drew's there in the basement, and Drew's comfortable being in the basement points-wise, and that very well could carry through, the whole way, so.
Give them a false sense of security, Drew. And besides, we know that Drew has a beautiful voice, so hey.
Oh yeah.
If he did have to sing,
he's throwing
that's
it
good
just so
good
he can sing for us. I think that's really where we are. All right, thanks, Drew. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and I know everybody's gonna be shocked, but I loved this episode.
Yay!
It was amazing. Why was this a two-parter? If this second half was just right after that first episode, that doesn't matter because she obviously smashed the urn. Yes, we dealt with the twist and whatever, but it was chaotic and crazy because it's a merge. It would be just as exciting without this twist. Because everybody, not everybody, because Heather's still a ghost, but mostly everybody shined this episode. We got a lot of back and forth strategy from both sides of which we don't get often. Sometimes one side is just drastically under-edited than the other. We got Ricard won immunity, beat Sydney, which is amazing because Sydney is not good. And best part, I love Deshawn. He's amazing. And I had him as my vote off, but I was like, please don't be Deshawn. And then they start doing the idol stuff. Oh no. Oh gosh. Tiffany told Xander and Erica about the advantage Liana has. And then Danny tells Liana that Xander told him about the advantage, which is the dead giveaway, Liana. Why did you try that at Tribal when Danny told you that? Obviously, they've been scheming about it. Liana, come on. It was amazing, and how it all worked out at Tribal, and the whispering wasn't bad. We could actually hear what was going on, and there was enough time for Tribal. They started it early in the episode, so we got through it all, and everything was coherent. Last week was a train wreck. This week, the heroes came and saved the day. I don't know what was going through their minds thinking they should do a two-parter, because this was so much better. A good two-part story only works if both parts are great. It doesn't work if one part sucks and the other one is amazing. Everybody's just gonna remember the second part for being amazing. The whole idol fake out, amazing. I have Xander at the top of my rankings this episode, definitely. Deshawn second. It was incredible. I love everybody except Sydney, who I despise, and then Tiffany, who I don't like that much, but she's growing on me. But I love this cast, so just let them play, please. Because this was fun. So let them play. We don't need twists. Everything just worked out perfectly, and we got rid of the knowledge is power twist, which was awful, or the shot in the dark failed, which was hilarious. Also, why on his Tribal when the stakes is that high? Why would you play a shot in the dark? It's best to just use your vote. I just hope that after this we get a normal merge. We don't have to do stuff like this every week. Please just let them play, because this was great. But yeah, that's all I got. I will see you guys next time.
Thanks, Parker. Great to hear you enjoyed it more. I think we kind of all know why we got it the way we did, at least in hindsight now. It's part of that cost savings, the reduction to 26 days. They had to come up with X amount of episodes, and that was the best they had, was to split it like that. And you got to know they talked about it, but yeah, it was not a satisfying result. And yeah, like Parker said, we got this, and you'll forget about some of the bad part of the previous episode. But it was a bad decision, and it's a byproduct of their overall decision to drop down to 26 days. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
Hello, Survivor fans. I was busy the last 2 weeks, so I haven't sent in my feedback for them, but here are my brief thoughts on the last 3 episodes. I have been enjoying the behind-the-scenes footage ever since the first episode up to this most recent one, when Jeff told us about the changing of history. I can understand how it could be too much for other fans, though. I like Nasir a lot, but it's also a bit a hit and miss on his gameplay. I'm happy he found that last hidden idol phrase, and that he kept it to himself into the challenge when the idols got activated. However, at the same time, when he said that his tribe should stick together, it was a decent thought, but the merge changes things up as he noticed during the feast. Speaking of advantages, it was a nice recap of them and who had what at the beginning of this episode. However, the knowledge is power advantage is an interesting new twist, and I'm not sure if I like it or not. As for Erica and her history-changing advantage, I don't think any of us thought she wouldn't do it, so I am not surprised that she smashed the hourglass and changed everything. I believe the moral of this most recent episode is don't share your advantages. It does nothing to help you out in the game, and it only leaves chaos and putting a target on your back. Also, you never know if the information you are sharing in confidence will slip out to other members of your tribe. With that being said, Xander did have a nice episode with pulling out the idol everyone already knew what he had, which turned out to be fake. I do worry about his game in the future, though. Sydney taking the shot in the dark was a smart move on her part, since she knew she was one of the people at the bottom of the alliance, and it was her only chance to be guaranteed safety for herself. As for JSFL, I am not doing great at all this year. I have not received one correct vote out yet, so I'm glad I decided not to participate in the side challenge this time around. I'll try not to get behind on sending feedback in the future and can't wait to see what the other fans have to say. All right, thanks, Jack. Up next, we have audio from Cameron.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Cameron from North Carolina. I picked a pretty bad week to miss Survivor. I was gone on vacation last week. Had to miss it all. Couldn't get feedback in either. So I plan on watching when I got back. Once again, I'm still in school, so I didn't have much time on that front either. So I wound up just having to read a little review on what happened last week while trying to hear an explanation from my mom while watching this week's episode. It appeared very convoluted and a lot more than they've ever done in the past. So I don't really have an opinion on what happened because I didn't see it happen, but it seems as though a lot did happen in Survivor. The challenge they did this week, I just wanted to make the note that I thought it was pretty cool because normally you see challenges in Survivor that either greatly benefit tall people or the short people. I thought this was a great one that was like middle ground and really benefited the medium build people, because if you were too short in this challenge, you'd be stretching and straining way more hard than people taller. But if you're too tall, you have a bunch of leg that you're spinning around. You'd have to keep yourself contorted the whole time so that you're balancing super well and not knocking over your blocks accidentally. I know I'm 6 feet. If I were up there doing that challenge, I would have issue with just my legs dangling all over the place. So we had some great drama in the episode. I figured we'd get that after the super early challenge. Going to Tribal, I really loved Danny's NFL analogy. The most pressured place you'll ever be in, and it's similar that you never know what the outcome's going to be. I thought that was all very neat. Liana was pretty harsh on Xander and the former Yassas, is my take. I see that she wanted to go along with Shan, and I'm not going to say why would she do that, because, no, it seems like a good alliance for her, too. It seems like they both got each other's backs, and that would be good. But why did she have to disregard the rest of the former Yassa? Why did she have to throw away Tiffany and Evie and Xander and do all that to work out her own plan? I just don't see her angle there, because we all know from Cochran, I mean, Cochran set it in stone, you don't stab your former tribe unless you are certain, unless you are just gung-ho and you know that you're making it to the final three. You don't do any of that kind of early merge backstabbing, so I don't really see what her intention there really was. Furthermore, that was masterful from Evie and Xander. It was fantastically done. I was watching that, even in my mind, it crossed my mind, oh, he's got a fake right now. But once he pulled it out, I saw the beads and I saw the paper. It convinced me even. I'm like, oh, wow, what's he doing? Why is he showing her the actual idol right here, right now? But no, he was fooling her, and he fooled me too right after explaining the whole plan. So hats off to Xander. That was really, really cool. As far as JSFL goes, I lost a point this week. I accidentally let it roll over, and I had Sydney safe last week, which I don't think I would have said Sydney safe this week, honestly. She was just not someone who seems like she'd make it too far, so yeah, sorry about that to myself, I suppose. Otherwise, great to hear everyone again. Joanne and Stacy, I'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Cameron. He was almost in the perfect position, though. By being away and missing the previous episode, he could have watched them back to back.
Yeah. Well, if he'd have had time.
Yeah, and that would have went. Too bad it didn't pan out that way. Thanks, Cameron. Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Hey, Survivor fans, this is Kim from North Carolina. I was very, very happy when Erica turned back time. I really enjoyed the episode. I had to actually watch it twice to really catch everything that was going on. And probably I wouldn't have caught everything if I hadn't already listened to the recap. So thanks for that, Joanne and Stacy. So on my second watch, I just kept thinking, Liana, look out. Shan is in that conversation where she's talking Liana into using her knowledge advantage. She's telling her, you have to spill blood. And Liana's like, yeah, I do. And then she does. And now she doesn't have a knowledge advantage. And I also think maybe Liana would be a little concerned about Shan because on the one hand, Liana's talking to Danny and saying Evie's not that dangerous. But then when Shan is talking to Danny and Liana's there, Liana doesn't react about the negative things that Shan was saying about Evie. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'm being manipulated by Shan. I don't know. But I think Nasir is looking potentially really good because he's talking to both sides of the group during the live council, but he's still in with the big group. Of course, we all know that being in the middle can be a dangerous spot to live. Xander really looked like he had it going on last night. So I hadn't really thought he was that on top of the game, but it looked really good to me. One thing Liana did that was good, I thought, was when she said, I hope you'll just respect the game with regard to her trying to steal the advantage from Xander. Hopefully I can get with Cameron and do feedback sometime soon. It helps me so much to hash it out before I try to record. Oh, it's so hard. Take care, everybody. Bye.
You're doing great, though. Good job, Kim. Next up, we got a call from Sandy.
Hi, guys. This is Sandy from Atlanta, and this is my feedback version number 450, because I've had to start this over a dozen times. Okay, I'm not really enjoying this season. I'm enjoying some of the strategy and the gameplay-ish, but there's something missing. And I have watched 41 seasons, thank you very much, and there's just something missing. What is it? Is it the rewards? I gotta tell you, if I worked hard for an immunity and somebody could just come and ask me for it, or it could just, somebody's whim take it away, which, by the way, it would tick me off. But did Erica really help her game? Either way, she's pissing somebody off or she is making somebody happy. But her game, is it really helping her game? I don't think so. Liana, well, honey, you just got so excited you couldn't see the forest for the trees. But who did? Xander and Tiffany. Chantel is no help to you, but you're going to follow along with her leadership. I don't know. Did they need that Liana to play that? Did they need it? Because Deshawn has 2 votes. Should Sydney have used her vote instead of the 1 in 6 or 1 in 12 chance? Cannot stand that. I think the odds are too bad. Hate it. Anyway, nobody can keep their mouth shut on what powers they have. But thank you guys. I got a vote off point because you did lead me towards Sydney, but I could not see it myself. So, because I didn't know what else to do. Gosh, is Heather going to end up being at the end? Even Nasir, they know he has an idol because he made the statement. That's why. Okay. No secrets. Don't like it. And Ricard, something's going on. Something's going on. I just want to know what everybody else has to say. And hey, who's going to be voted off next week? Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Sandy. Next up, we got an email from Paul this time. So right off the bat, I'll state that I believe Ricard had an advantage in that challenge. His deafness means that he didn't have to listen to Jeff going on and on. Ricard's sort of like the pinball wizard in Tommy. He ain't got no distractions, can't hear no buzzers and bells. And boy, was he lucky he won immunity because his goose was being, shall we say, seasoned for the grill. The minute Erica revealed that she flipped the game on its head. Now let's face the facts here and admit that she absolutely not should, but absolutely had to smash that hourglass. I mean, she may have been given a choice, but when you boil it down, it was definitely a choice between half the tribe hating her and being able to vote her off, or half the tribe hating her but not being able to vote her off. So yeah, if you should ever choose to watch this season again, you can pretty safely skip episode 6 to get to the meat of the matter. Now, I do have to say that I'm shocked that Danny's feelings about Jeff have essentially lied to them, made the edit. That was sort of gutsy of CBS. Did someone else in production not care for the idea and sneak a little dig in there? You know, I'm a firm believer of it is what it is, but this was more a case of it is what it isn't, or maybe it isn't what it is, whatever. So, right in the beginning of the episode, I was fairly sure that we'd have a double tribal before all was said and done, but when I saw how late it was before tribal started, we all knew we'd be in for a ride, and come on, we always say we'd like longer episodes and tribal councils. But in the end, I have to wonder what would this episode have been like had Chantel not alerted Tiffany to Leanna's knowledge of his power. It would certainly have been a whole new ball of wax, that's for sure. And when Liana asked Xander if he had an idol, you know he was thrilled that his plan worked and that he didn't have an idol in his pocket. And that was a tough one for me. Now, since Chantel's game somewhat exploded at that point, you have to wonder if she feels guilty for having spilled Liana's beans all over the entire tribe. Talk about a backfire, huh? I was expecting everyone to play what they had, and how's this for being hypocritical? I'm actually happy that most everything is still in play. It is what it is, I guess. Also, I'm flat out dumbfounded that Tiffany actually listened to Xander about whether or not she should play the idol. She was so obviously not on the same page as Xander on what should happen there. I guess that means that they won't have the same problems that Ricard and Chantel had when it comes time to return those advantages. Now, normally we have some clue as to where lines have been drawn and who stands where after the merge has its first tribal council. Right now, though, I'm as confused as ever, and I'm going to need a rewatch, so that's going to happen this weekend for sure. In short, at this point in time, I can't begin to guess who will go next, and the preview suggests that the merged but nameless tribe have no clue either. Did we get a tribe name? Because I think not. I've sort of got a name for them. How about them guys? That's good. I didn't see any tribe name in the press release stuff, did you?
I haven't looked.
Yeah, I didn't see a banner or anything.
I don't think they've had time. They just merged it at the very end of Tribal.
Yeah, now I meant in the upcoming stuff,
yeah.
The pictures for the next episode. Now I've read Dalton's interview with Sydney, and sweetheart, I'm glad you're not on the jury either. Between all of the she was like and the I was likes and then all of those F-bombs, all I can say is that she now comes across to me not only as spoiled, but incredibly unrefined as well. That's a really nice way of saying vulgar. And I also see that a lot of people are talking about all the twists and turns in the game, and it appears that no one is liking them. Since the next season is already filmed, I'm hoping that season 43 will be a reboot, but like I said, I watch Survivor for the human interaction, so I'm still getting a lot of mileage out of this season. And I guess that's it for me. Everyone take care. Thanks, Paul. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Northern California, and that was a great episode. Right from the beginning, when the reactions when Erica revealed that she had smashed the hourglass, I thought they were absolutely priceless. The people who were so upset and the people who were so happy. It was a great coda to last week. I chose Richard as my vote out, and of course he won immunity. Like the first 10 minutes of the episode. Evie, great choice, as she's an aggressive player. And we have seen she's really good at playing people. She's really good at lying to people. And then right away, Liana's on board. But we're still only a half hour into the episode, so there's still so much more to come. We got Xander, Tiffany, and Evie in lockstep. And here's my question. Is Xander going to feel really, really bad when he's rewatching the season and he realizes how much they're playing him? I mean, he's so loyal to them, and they're so willing in every episode to just cut him loose and try to find a way to cut him. And he's the most loyal guy. I always wonder how the contestants are feeling when they're rewatching what people were really saying, and is Xander feeling like particularly betrayed as he's rewatching his season? I hate that everyone blabbed about Leanna's advantage. Everybody is telling everybody everything, and it makes it so hard for them to strategize. So, they're scrambling. But why does no one realize not to choose Evie as the vote out? Everyone was told Xander was using the idol for Evie. Everyone knows about Liana's advantage. Why not just choose somebody else? Save your advantage for later. Do a blind side for another person. Just choose Xander to vote out. Everyone thinks you're going to Evie. Pivot and go in another direction. Was anyone else screaming, he's playing all of you, just choose somebody else? But it made for a great tribal, and I personally loved it. So in the end, it was a nail-biter, and bye-bye Sydney, and we are left with two clear teams, the Core 4 and the Lockstep 3. And I personally am all in for the Core 4 because it has my USB, and I feel like the next person who's in danger of being voted out is Evie. If Xander is questioning loyalty, he was told some pretty interesting facts at tribal council. Will he not be all in as much as he was this episode? I mean, he was all in, and he found out that she had immediately told a lot of people about his idol. So were the advantages played well? I don't know. I think not as well as they could have. I feel like Liana should have saved hers and just chosen another vote off. It was pretty clear watching it for the second time, it's not going to work. They're on to you. Go in another direction. But it was a great episode, and I absolutely loved it. Can't wait to see what happens next. Totally feel like Evie's in danger, but also kind of feel like she might just stick around for a while. She might be able to pull something out of her sleeve. She's pretty good. Can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you guys for everything you do. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, Xander wasn't eligible. He was immune thanks to that flip-flop that Erica made possible. But they certainly could have gone after Nasir, and Sydney mentioned that in one of the interviews. She said Nasir was posturing, saying, I'm going to play my idol, I'm going to play my idol. But she didn't think that he was going to play his idol.
That's, I think, part of why they didn't go there. They didn't want to have to worry about him playing his idol. That would have been they could have flushed it.
Yeah. Why not take the opportunity to flush it and have someone tell them, yeah, you really should, because they're coming at you hard.
I think there was just too much else going on.
I don't think Xander can afford to abandon Evie right now. He needs her because they're so far down in numbers.
Yeah,
now,
I don't think so either.
What that transgression really should result in, or possibly will cause to happen, is that Xander would choose Tiffany over Evie if they come down to a final two, because he knows, thanks to Deshawn, that Evie had betrayed him almost completely very early on. So right now, needs her, but in the end, it would certainly be plenty justification to drop her too.
Or he could say, well, we weren't that close back then, but we got close.
There's plenty of ways to cover for it and try to keep Evie close, but Evie's really smart too. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my Survivor friends. I was really looking forward to watching this episode, but it airs in Australia on Thursday, and Thursday evening was Diwali, our main festival. I got the episode through not such correct methods to watch it earlier in the day, which I did, and I was glad I did because it was interesting. Poor old Liana got played, and it was all her bestie Shan's fault, because if Shan hadn't blabbed about her advantage to Tiffany, the results wouldn't have been what they were. I'm glad that Xander got to keep his idol, because the poor guy, he has had it tough so far. And I just loved it when he produced the fake idol. And I'm really sick of live tribals now, because I don't know what's happening. You don't know who's whispering to who and what the results are going to be. I think the novelty is all worn off now. About Erica, before she went off to the Smasheroo Island, she was at the bottom of her tribe. And after this whole episode, she's now with the girls, the second half of the tribe, and she's still in the bottom there. So she hasn't achieved anything by that except for the change of history. I got a vote out point for Sydney, and I was glad she was gone.
Congrats.
After listening to her interview, she came across as quite an opinionated and entitled person, and she didn't I just didn't warm up to her. So about my routine for watching Survivor, early days I used to always watch it with my boys, and we would watch it almost always after dinner. In those days we didn't get Survivor on regular free-to-air TV, so the boys used to download it, and they would always have the dessert when they were watching it. But since they have both left home, I watch it on my own, and I will normally finish all my dinner and chores, and then I'll make a nice hot cuppa and I sit and watch it all by myself. And sometimes I watch it a second time, but I do look forward to it every week. So on that note, waiting to hear what everybody else has to say. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Rashmi. Yeah. Next up, we got a call from Noelle.
Hi, everyone. It's Noelle calling from Albuquerque. Wow, what a great episode. My heart was racing the whole time. I don't know about everyone else, but it was so hard to make my picks this week because it really depended on what Erica was going to end up doing. But after listening to everyone's feedback, I decided to go with the option of her smashing the hourglass. So I made my picks according to that outcome. I hadn't realized when I first watched the episode that she wouldn't be safe if she didn't do that. So I think she made the right move. So good move, Erica. Other good moves are, I liked the recap of all the advantages that I found very helpful that they played at the beginning of the episode. Also, the immunity challenge was really close, so that was exciting to watch. Finally, when Tiffany was at Tribal Council and they were trying to decide if they were going to play the idol for Evie or for Sydney, and she kept saying, "It's not mine, so you guys have to decide." I thought that was a really good move on her part. I didn't really come up with a lot of bad moves. It was such a great episode. So the only bad move that I have is Liana grossly underestimating Yase, really screwing up how to play that advantage. She just made it so obvious what she was going to do. I mean, I can't even speculate that maybe it wasn't that obvious to the rest of the players, because how could it not be? It was so obvious what she was going to do that of course they planned for it, and then she didn't. And I don't know if the starvation is just getting to her because she didn't get to participate in the merge feast, or if it's her age. I'm sort of leaning on it's her age. She underestimated everyone around her. So that was exciting. I chose Nasir as the vote out because I just had this gut feeling that Xander would use his idol for Evie. I just had a really strong gut feeling that that would happen. Evie was so obvious, and I really felt like it wasn't going to be her. But it obviously wasn't Nasir either, and that's okay. Now I have to pick a new USB. It's going to be so hard. So many people are playing such a bad game, and other people are playing a really good game, but they're in a terrible position, like Erica, for example. So I'll be listening closely to the feedback show again to get ideas about my next USB. Also, I wanted to point out that a few of you had said that you thought maybe, what's her name? Shan was revealing Liana's advantage to Tiffany on purpose. I thought that was such a brilliant insight, and I've really been thinking about that a lot lately, and I wonder how trustworthy Shan really is going to be with her new group. I'm kind of thinking maybe Ricard would be the first one to turn on the rest of that 7-person voting block, well, 8 including him, that 8-person voting block from the last tribal. It'll be really interesting to see the rest of the season. I wonder if any of the episodes will be able to top that. Sometimes it gets crazy and then it's a roller coaster from there. That'll be really fun if that's how the season ends. Everyone have a great weekend. Don't forget to set your clocks if you live in a state that does that. Everybody take care. Bye.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Noelle.
Thanks for the reminder. I had completely forgotten about that. You know, I believe that Ricard thinks he's still just as tight with Shan and maybe even Liana, that he's probably thinking he's final 3, final 2 even.
Yeah.
If it's final 2.
Yep. The thing that I so want to see is, what does Ricard think about Shan and Liana? Because it seems so much like Shan's grooming Liana, and she's promised Liana final 2. So does he see Liana as a threat yet? And is he going to strike to take that away from her? Or, how's that going to play out?
Why would he, as long as it's working for him?
He has to at some point, though. He
Eventually.
Because he needs to get those 2 votes, down. He needs to be there with Shan or take Shan out, which is hard while she's got the idol and the extra vote.
I think that Shan and Liana really do seem to be tight in wanting to keep an alliance with Danny and Deshawn, but I doubt very seriously if that's what she's telling Ricard. Why would she?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's why Ricard's fine, and he's playing his supporting role again, just like he did before. And we're not hearing what other people think about him. We're not getting their reaction of him. We saw, what was the only thing that we got this week was he and Erica were chatting. They showed them walking down the trail and talking together. But we haven't gotten, a whole bunch else there. We got him saying, I think Nasir's got an idol, and then you hear Danny and Sydney both chime in simultaneously. Yes, he does. So we should target Evie. So he was, that's bold. He's the one calling the shot and saying, this is who it is, because that person can get blowback. But he felt comfortable enough that was just the role that he was in this week, this last cycle.
Well, I think they really embraced Ricard, Danny, Deshawn, and Nasir because of the whole being afraid of a female alliance.
Maybe.
That they were embracing the men and going, we got to keep men in here and get rid of some of the women so that they can't play that against us.
And Xander's trying to keep a connection with Danny because we saw him go to Danny Sydney was sitting there too at the time, but he was talking to Danny.
Well, and we've seen him cultivate Nasir as well.
Yeah, so. at the.
So again, he could think he might be able to go that way, and who knows?
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Noelle. We got to keep going. Joanne and I'll sidetrack ourselves with all these different conversations if we're not careful. Next up, we got an email from Laura in Virginia.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I just had to put this out there because after listening to many podcasts and recaps this week, I wondered how Jeff would have reacted if, after they revealed that Erica broke the hourglass, if one of the six, Deshawn, Evie, Danny, Ricard, Sydney, or Nasir, would have said, you know what? That's a BS twist, and I quit the game. This would never happen, but even better, though, what if all six of them suddenly said that they would quit the game because of the stupid hourglass twist? I like Jeff, but with that twist, I wish something like that had happened because I would have utterly enjoyed Jeff and the producers scrambling. In terms of the actual episode, all I can say is amazing job, Xander. Liana was so smug about her move, and I'm glad that she got an ego check. What did Xander do with that made Liana hate him so much? Was it really just because she couldn't vote him out instead of Voce? If that's the case, wow, so petty. Last thing, so many unknown things about the original Luvu tribe. When did they find out about Nasir's idol? Did they know about the phrase because Nasir shared it or because of Deshawn? Anyway, it will be a little sad when they vote him out. Thanks for all you do. I literally wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning just to start listening to the recap and the feedback.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Way to go, Laura. And thank you for your feedback. What was it she asked about? Liana had said in the episode that Xander didn't value her, like he looked down at her, thought she was stupid, or that was her interpretation of it, that she had to, she was forced to try to boost up his ego, and I think that might have been more her feeling than his.
Yes.
But that's what she was left with, and that's why she resented him. I think what she was picking up is he didn't trust her.
I think we did see him say that, right, in an earlier episode. And
that he didn't trust her.
Yeah, and that he had a stronger connection with Evie and Tiffany.
Yes.
And since that strong connection didn't extend to her, therefore, that maybe that's the source of some of it too.
She took it as him, like, discounting her.
Yes.
And she didn't like that, and that's why she was after him. And she felt discounted.
Could have been that he did. Maybe he noticed Xander always paid more attention to what Evie and Tiffany were saying. And didn't, or butted in their conversations or something. Yeah, it's not clear.
That's how she said she took it, and that's why she was after it.
I think I mentioned it earlier, but to Laura's point, Danny did bring, according to that one of those Sydney interviews, he ground the tribal council to a halt with his telling Probst that he did not like what had been done.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Much to, even though Deshaun was trying to encourage him to pivot and go with it, he must have still been holding on to it. And Probst was asking, well, what can I do to make that better in the future? So,
as Sydney said, don't care about the future, Probst.
Exactly.
I care about what's happening right now.
And to some sense, that's not the appropriate question. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor super fans. It's Justin from Michigan. First off, I just want to say that I think the show dropped the ball on not combining last week's and this week's episode. As many people mentioned, last week just seemed unfulfilling. It just seemed like just so many cliffhangers and no satisfaction to the end of the episode. And then this week, we start off strong and we end strong, and the whole episode was really good. I was really impressed with Xander. At first, I thought he was making a huge mistake, but you could tell he thought through all of his moves, and like you mentioned, the acting was really, really good. They really pulled a fast one on Liana and everybody. Liana, I was going to pick her as my new USB after losing Sarah, but after last night, I don't think I can do that. It really wasn't the right time to play her knowledge is power advantage. You kind of want to save that for when you're in trouble so that you can steal the idol and play it right away, not just use it to steal it from somebody, preventing them from playing it from somebody else, especially when you used to be in an alliance with them. I just thought that was a rushed move, and therefore I think I'm switching my USB pick off of Liana and onto Evie. I think her and Xander can work together well, and Xander's just a bigger threat, the more physical imposing presence. He's probably perceived to have made the bigger move so far, so she can kind of use him as a meat shield, and I think she can go far. But there's a lot of good options. Just going through the list, I'd say over half of the people left are definitely in it, maybe more. Heather. I think Heather's really the only one that'd probably be completely out of it, but even she has time to make some moves if she really wants to. So just overall good episode. Just looking forward to the next few weeks as we head into the merge, and really looking forward to what everybody else has to say.
Thanks, Justin. Next up, we got a call from Jody.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey, it's Jody in Brisbane. So let's talk about that exit interview with Robert's podcast and Sydney, because what on earth is her problem? Holy moly, I thought she was just full of herself, but it turns out she is a stone cold beep. I mean, what was that? I don't have a desire anymore to have dinner with her and find out what makes her tick and try to become more confident in my own life. I'm actually kind of happy right now, just where I am with my insecurities and all, because, whoa, nasty, vicious, savage, whew, sort of scary. Yeah, nah, I couldn't sleep next to that kind of vibe on the beach. I'd worry quite a bit. So if you guys had a hourglass of your own and you got to choose it and smash it, and if you did, you had to go back in time and do post-show exit interviews, would you do it, even though that would mean coming into contact with that wild-eyed creature? Ooh, so yeah, I want an answer. Now, I don't know what to do about my USB Deshaun. Do I keep him? Do I chuck him? Who am I going to? I have no idea. I feel at this minute drawn to, I don't know, I feel like I'm in the circle and everyone's on the outside and I'm being drawn in 9 different directions. Or how many people have we got left? 11, maybe less than 11, let's be honest. I don't know guys. What a wild exit, person, ride, everything. I'm really going to need to listen to you guys to figure this one out. Okay, I hope you all are struggling just as much and can't wait to hear what you think. Cheers.
Thanks, Jody.
Wouldn't hesitate to interview anyone.
Yeah,
whether I liked them or not isn't appropriate, and that was always our philosophy. It doesn't matter what our personal opinion is at all. I would treat no one any different than anybody else, and in an interview.
That came from how we approach the interview too, to be the window and to not be the main character.
It's not about us. This is their opportunity. We know that a lot of times the editing gives us a false image of who someone is as a person, and this is their opportunity to show us who they really are.
To Jody's point, she was consistent in the others. I hadn't listened to that one in particular because after I was done with the first few, I just like, okay, I've got enough
got
of.
through one.
I never got. Yeah, I had enough of this. And I'll have some of the links in the show notes too. But we also had some examples where we tended to end up with different results in those kind of cases. There were people who we thought
were one way and they weren't.
Or even when you go to check the interviews with other people, it seemed to be you could see that caustic side or whatever it was, but if we came at it a certain way, so we probably would have walked right into that bandsaw to answer your
absolutely
question,
without
Jody.
question. And even if we got done and said, "Yuck," doesn't matter. That's not our place. It wasn't our job. It was to give them a venue to do their thing.
But I
take the opportunity or don't.
Certainly got a sense of what you're describing, even though I didn't listen to that specific one. Next up, we got a call from Jade-n-Christine.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Jade.
And Christine.
From Hawaii.
Aloha.
So we really enjoyed seeing the reactions to Erica smashing the hourglass because we knew she was going to smash it. That's neither here nor there. But we enjoyed especially Deshaun's face when he found out that that's what happened. And we were really surprised that Ricard won, actually. We did not suspect that. And we were wondering if Evie had won, who do you think would have been out? Because we were kind of throwing around Ricard, but we thought, nah, probably Sydney still. Because Shan probably would have kept Ricard. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I thought there was some troubled water under that bridge with Ricard and Shan, but maybe they've patched things up and they're scheming together once more. And I loved all the scheming and the scrambling that they were showing us. Yeah. But it got a little confusing with who knew what secret about because you have Xander sharing with Danny and Danny turning around and telling Liana, and I don't know, it was just so fun though, keeping track of everything.
Yeah, it got kind of chaotic, but in a super fun way.
Yes.
I mean, I felt like the episode was like half an hour. I was like, I can't believe it's over already. It was so exciting. And definitely Xander fooled us. The whole time we were thinking, he's so dumb. He's just showing them the idol. And like, why does he keep talking so much? And why is he telling Danny this? And yeah, he totally got us. He used his history to create this image of himself, and he used that image of himself to fool Liana and Shan, and he got us too, and I loved it. I was gratefully surprised at the end.
Yeah, it's really about perception, isn't it? When it comes to how people think you're gonna predict what you're gonna do. Yeah. So next week, I believe that Evie's probably still in danger. Actually, the whole
Evie.
yellow... Yeah, Evie. Sorry. All of the whole yellow tribe, Xander, Tiffany, those guys, they just seem like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I just have to put in my vote out.
Me too.
That way.
Are you going to change your USB?
I don't know. It's Danny, but I'm thinking maybe one of the women might pull it off. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think so too. I don't know. I kind of want to just keep Erica. I've been rooting for her the whole time. I don't want to stop. I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
I believe in her lioness ways.
All right. That was amazing.
Great episode. Thanks so much, Joanne and Stacy. We can't wait to hear what everyone else thinks about this.
Thanks, guys. Ahoy-ho.
Thanks, Jade. Thanks, Christine. I absolutely would have referenced the sunk cost fallacy when it came to Erica for you, Jade. But she did get that celebratory edit, and we've got her talking about being a lioness a couple of times, and I could see why you would struggle and hang on. I've pretty much let go of her. I haven't locked in on my next one, but I can't I can't see staying there right now.
Yeah, and I don't know that Deshaun can win, but I'm not ready to let go of him.
Yep. And there's reason to hold on to him for sure. There's that charisma that called him out as a threat is a reason if he can hang on. I don't think he or Danny are savvy to what Shan and Ricard are pulling yet. And that would be the concerning piece there. And if Evie had won immunity, I don't think they would have gone after Ricard. I think they would have flushed Nasir's idol, and then they would have ended up voting Sydney out, most likely, still.
And if, like I said, if the final three ended up being, say, Shan, Ricard, and Liana, they will chew her up. Well, no, wait a minute. They might go after each other because they might could make a better case. Yeah, I'd probably take Liana myself.
Yes.
But
she's going to be a goat at that point.
Yeah, if they got to final three, I guess. I guess I would feel that way in final three. But any time in between, I would see that they could. I think they're using her, but I don't know that for sure. That's just my feel.
Yes, but we don't have enough solid info.
Not at all.
There we are. Thanks again, Jade-n-Christine. Next up, we got an email from Josh the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, I want to be serious for a moment.
Okay.
Not serial, but serious. Yes, Tribal was thrilling, but I'm afraid it'll give Jeff justification for creating more overpowered advantages. I liked the Steel and Idol just fine, but the window for playing it should have been when Jeff says it's time to vote, not before the vote. Letting it be played while discussion was still possible neutered the effect of Xander's ploy by giving the majority time to regroup, change their votes, and protect their core group. In some ways, that made it akin to a lesser pre-vote version of Yule's God Idol. Here are my other observations. Erica chose to change history and save herself. Newsflash, water is wet. Yeah, that's pretty much how that
is so you. That's something you would say to me.
Blue is blue, yes. Medical student Deshaun put a good spin on the bad news. Bedside manner? Check. When Ricard gives out packages of peanuts on flights, I hope he uses his hands. That's great. It's gross and it's great at the same time. Evie might have planted her flag better if it was rainbow instead of blue. If Erica keeps lying to herself, she might be a lamb led to the slaughter. That's good. Liana really needs to work on her impulse control. Danny played in the NFL. He should be used to having calls overturned. I like that. That is good. I was stunned that Tiffany actually kept Xander's plan a secret. Yes, somehow for that brief, maybe that's the key, is that there's just a small window.
Brief window.
Yes,
yeah.
And that she can't be exposed to a lot of other people. To paraphrase Sydney, the majority bloc voted for her because she ain't them. There's a nice twist of that, yes. Liana wanted to make Xander pay for hogging attention. How'd that work for her? Former Dallas Cowboy Danny says Tribal Council is in his top 5 arenas. Jerry World is so big that it takes the other 4 spots. Okay, because he was a cowboy. Sydney wanted to meet new people. They didn't want to keep her either. I let out a Pete from Boston, woo, when Xander gave Liana the fake idol. Okay, I take it back. Flashbacks can be great when they're used to heighten reveals. Tiffany turned Liana's game of Go Fish into Idol, who's got the idol? I bet that Danny felt at home when his tribal voting bloc broke the huddle. Sydney took her shot in the dark, but fired a blank. Xander and Tiffany showed Shan and Ricard how hold this for me works. Hold my beer. Watch this. Butterflies, broccoli, and confused goats can rest easy since Liana missed her shot. Next time, chaos reigns in the ultimate season 41 twist. Will they vote out Jeff? That would be perfect.
Danny would, for sure.
If Danny convinced them all to put Probst on there. Yeah. It's like, all right, you guys get back in there and vote again.
They'd have to show that.
Yeah. Anyway, that would be one for the reunion show, right? Anyway, that's it from me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh.
I
Good
like
job.
that. Probst.
Next up, we got a call from Jill.
Hi Joanne and Stacey, hi Survivor fans, Jill from the Outback here. Much better episode this week. I didn't even put feedback in last week. I don't know, it just seemed wrong without a vote off. But I enjoyed this week a lot actually. It was good to see Erica do well out on Exile Island, and she came back with a bit of a sense of strength about her that she probably didn't have before. I think it'd be hard to not take it personally being sent away on something like that, but it probably shows why you should send an ally away and not the person that's at the bottom of your tribe. So the recap of all the advantages at the start of it was probably a bit foreboding. We knew what was going to be coming with everything being, or not everything, but with a lot of things being played. Like everyone's having a bit of a whinge about there's too many advantages and all that. If Survivor didn't do these new things, then we complain that it was too stale. Nothing changes. So I don't mind all the advantages. They're trying new things. Some things work, some things won't. And that hopefully they keep the good stuff and do away with the bad. I started smacking my forehead when Xander was telling the blue team about the plan to keep Evie with his idol, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and hope that he did that tactically. You know, he was just telling them what he wanted them to hear. I can find tribal councillors a little bit boring at times. They say a whole lot without saying anything, but this week's had me entertained from woe to go. It was really good. I didn't have a clue what was going to be happening, and I reacted more than once, gasped more than once with things coming out. When Liana asked Xander for the idol and he didn't have it, when Deshawn sort of let out of the bag that Evie had told him about Xander's advantage, when Tiffany ended up with the idol, it was all good. I loved it. And I was happy with the vote off. Sydney was far too good for Survivor, or so she would let us believe. And I got a vote off point, so double happy with that one. I think that's all I've got. Thanks, Joanne and Stacey. Look forward to the feedback show. Happy days, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Jill.
All right, thanks to Jill, and thanks to the birds for their feedback as well.
Yeah, and the sheep at the end.
Yeah.
I think I heard one back there. Good job.
Was that a sheep or a cow?
No, I think that was a sheep.
Okay, I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Well, what a conclusion to our merge episode. Hey everybody, it's Jeremiah here with some feedback for this week. Yeah, that was very satisfying, especially that tribal council. So much to go over, and I don't have enough time to go over everything. So I'll just keep my discussion to the meat of the episode. And that's how did Xander, Evie, and Tiffany pull this off? Well, it definitely was the long con, right? They really did a great job, I feel like, setting everything up, leading up to tribal council. What's really interesting for me, though, is I felt like Xander really overplayed things at tribal council to the point where I was surprised it did not backfire on him. I mean, for me, granted, I'm Monday morning quarterback here. I'm watching from my couch, but for me, if someone is that blatantly obvious, showing the idol like, "Hey, look what I've got," to me that screams, "Hey, I'm trying to pull a wool over your eye." And I was just really surprised that Liana really went forward with what she was going to do. That she couldn't see that it's a good possibility that either Evie has it or Tiffany has it. But luckily for us as viewers, she went for it. And, of course, she was dead wrong. So I'm kind of surprised that it didn't really wind up working. But, okay, that's great. I mean, that was really great. And kudos to Xander. I mean, that was very impressive for the young man. I did not expect that kind of gameplay out of him. Now, of course, I've got extra satisfaction after picking Sydney 3 weeks ago to go home, and she finally did. Obviously, I did not see it going exactly the way this episode went. But I was very satisfied to see her go. I will not miss her for sure. But what's really funny is I do fall in the camp of people who think if she would have not done her shot in the dark and voted and caused a tie, I think she would have stuck around because I think they would have turned back on Evie. But who knows? Okay, so the merge has happened, and now everyone is turning their eyes on who do you change your USB. Normally, you guys, I have a pretty good idea of who I think is going to win. but I really have no idea. You look at the people at the top right now. I mean, obviously you have our 4 black players who have made an alliance. Then you have the rest of the people that voted with them. Now you assume that that's the top of the crowd when you got our 3 bottom people, and with Evie, Xander, and Tiffany. For those 3 at the bottom to flip things around, they're either going to have to team up with the people that are in the middle or team up with a combination of some of the people at the top. I don't know if that's going to be able to happen, but it'll be very interesting to see if that can happen. So right now, I have in my top 4 people I think have the best chance to win is Dushan, Erica, Shan, and Ricard. Although honestly, I could almost make an argument for anyone except for Heather and Nasir. I don't think those 2 people have any chance to win whatsoever. So there you go. There is my 2 cents on what everybody could consider, what I think I consider as potential winners. So I have to decide, do I want to stick with a card or switch to someone else? All right, well, that's it for me. You guys take care. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. I recorded a whole minute of feedback, and then I listened to myself, and I sounded like a zombie, so I erased it, and I started again. So hopefully I sound more awake on this one. I was not a fan of the whole recap that they did. I want new content, because what the Survivor powers that be don't know is that we have Paul's visual roster. Am I right? So we don't need all that recap stuff. Anyway, Erica smashed the hourglass, and I'm really glad she did, because this is an individual game. And unbeknownst to her, there was no loyalty to her on that winning team, and she has to start from scratch anyway, so good on her. And for that immunity challenge, Jeff is so positive. I don't like it. Snarkiness goes so much better with competition. And are there any Pokemon fans out there? Andrew and I laughed when they said, "Let's go Eevee," because it reminded us of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Anyway, I loved the immunity challenge. I thought that was a great level playing field for all of the people who were competing. I also thought that it was really weird seeing day 14 flash up on the screen. Don't they usually merge at like day 26 or in the mid-20s somewhere? I don't keep track of that. Maybe somebody knows what the norm is. But I know it's not day 14. It's just kind of weird that they've only been in the game for 2 weeks. Anyway, so while we were watching and all of this talk amongst people was going on, especially about Xander's idol, I typed in my notes that if I were in Xander's shoes, Tiffany would have that idol at Tribal Council. That way, whoever Liana targets with her advantage, she's going to be wrong either way. Then they can blindside everyone and play the idol for Evie. I didn't think they would do that in a million years, but I thought that they should do that, and I was so excited when they did. The live Tribal Council was so exciting to watch and so confusing. In the middle of it all, I completely forgot that only 5 people could receive votes. So after Liana blew her advantage and they all started talking back and forth and chaos ensued, I totally forgot that Tiffany was safe. So I thought, no, now Tiffany shouldn't give it up, because if she gives it up, then they'll just vote for Tiffany. Honestly, I don't think I remembered that Tiffany wasn't up to be eliminated until like the following morning when Andrew and I were talking about it again. And also, in the midst of it all, I was really surprised that Sydney started begging Xander for his idol, and I thought, if they play that idol for Sydney, I will die. They aren't even, like, familiar with her, really. But they didn't. They didn't play it for anyone, and in the end, that was a good thing, but next week looks like it's going to be even crazier than this last week was. So I can't wait till next week to see what's going to happen. Anyway, that's it for me. I can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say about this awesome episode, and until next week, bye.
Thanks, Jen. Had a lot of energy. You really punched it in. Good job.
Well, a lot of times I would forget that when I was thinking through something. Well, they could have done. Oh, yeah, no, they couldn't.
Yeah, that was such a strange situation.
Well, that's what made this tribal so difficult, is you don't normally have 6 people immune at one tribal council. And
with this many people in the game.
And that many idols also in the game. 3 idols. And 6 people who were immune. It's like, oh goodness. Not to mention the 3 extra votes that could be floating around. There was just so much, and everybody knew everything.
Almost, yeah. Well, I don't think there was complete information about everything for everyone.
Maybe not. We don't really know.
We don't know for sure. You're right.
No.
They would have had to have gone around to each one and gotten them to spell it out.
But again, I really am not sure, because you could see Evie, Tiffany, and Xander working with and talking openly to Nasir and Erica and Heather. So I really don't know how anybody's going to go.
this next one is a huge test of that, right?
I thought this last one would be,
right.
but it wasn't, because I don't know where the lines are drawn yet, for sure.
Yep, not clear, and Deshawn rattled Xander. That, for one thing, that's clear. And Evie got rattled, too, because she was begging for that idol to be played, and Xander said, no, and at one point, before the final vote was read, he turned to Evie and said, sorry, Ev, because he thought she was going, and he apologized to her. So, yeah, there's going to be some unsteadiness in all that, with Deshawn outing her being a blabbermouth and sharing his details, and then him, I don't know if you recall, but earlier in the episode, I know we talked about it, so this is the proverbial you. Earlier in the episode, he promised to play his idol for Evie to Evie. She was crying about that and overwhelmed that he was going to do that for her. And then, come tribal council time, no, Tiff, don't play it. After he had
truly
promised.
Was convinced that none of them.
Well,
they totally bought it. Nobody was going to vote for her.
He was convinced until the just before the very last vote.
Sorry, Ev.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he thought she was going.
And Evie openly admitting that she's not sure she would have given him her idol.
If she had one, right?
Yeah.
And Tiffany did not give that idol to Evie.
Well, and
she honored Xander's request.
True. And as far as Xander being upset with Evie, we talked about, I don't know how much option that he has. He may, we don't know yet. But I think he can see by now Tiffany's done it too. She's told things and not told things. So many people have been doing it. Even Xander's been doing it with things and trying to say, hey, Evie's not going. So he's passing things around too and putting information where he wants it. So I don't know how you could hold that against somebody forever if you needed them.
I'm really anxious and looking forward to seeing how it breaks for Heather, Erica, and Nasir. Are they going to, at this point in the game, are they going to recognize their value and then make a change where they could essentially end up being in control of the game? I got to think no. It's unfortunate, but all that winning that they did, I think, kind of hurt them. And they're not going to be open to it. They're going to be more comfortable staying with Danny and Deshawn. The whole Shannon Ricard thing are just like extras to them. They're thinking they're still solid with Danny and Deshawn.
Maybe.
Even though Erica should not. She absolutely should not think that. I bet, because that's what's comfortable, she's going to fall right back into it.
Oh, Jen had talked about the merge coming this quickly, like day 14. But we've never had anything with it. It's been 39 days before.
Sure.
And 14 is actually, we're already past
more than
the halfway mark for 26-day Survivor. So, all that's going to be different, and it is going to come faster, seems like. So that's just I don't know whether they'll continue doing a 26-day cycle or not, but...
Well, 41 and 42 will be.
That could be the new norm. We don't know.
Yes. It's hard once you save that money to go back to spending more again. That's usually a trap door, but who knows?
Well, and, those people might not like being away from their families for such long periods of time. That's one of the things they had said, too. Oh, no, we'd have to be away from our families so much longer if we had to add quarantine on top of, what we normally do. That's over the top too much.
Yep, and there's so much we still don't know with the pandemic that could extend out, and that could cause them to do the same sort of thing for 43 and 44, unfortunately.
But time will tell.
Yep. I can't help but think that 42 is going to be a lot like 41 in terms of the mix of advantages and the sort of the, expectation breaking things that they're going to put into the game.
Okay, you
in the
said
hopes of chasing fun.
you have let go of Erica as your USB.
Yeah.
Who are you considering as a new choice?
I'm definitely considering Shan going to the dark side. In that, not the not the core 4 alliance, but in terms of the darker type of game that her and Ricard are good at playing.
Yeah.
The emotional manipulation, because it's a social game, and that's such a powerful tactic to use in terms of picking who could win and who could maneuver their way there. Ricard's actually the biggest danger to Shan that I'm aware of right now, because he's made it clear to her that I see you. I know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You came at me with the tactic that I coached you to use on JD, and now you think that's going to work on me. So he's a threat to her. I'm not drawn to him at all, but I think she could easily pull off a win at this point, given the skills that she's employing.
Well, and it gives them both a lot of power in that the other people don't know that about them
Exactly.
as of yet.
Yeah,
We were watching
doesn't seem to be brought into question at all, right?
No, not at all.
Wait a minute. How did these two get here? What were they doing that made that possible? Yeah.
Okay, you and I were watching the exchange between Liana and Shan when Shan was explaining, hey, we have to do this, and you're going to have to do, you're going to have to
blood.
first blood and all of this stuff, and she's doing this. And then you see her go, but how are you feeling about it?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, she is so good at that. She's basically telling her what she needs to do.
Right.
She's feeding it to her, and then she pulls it back.
Demonstrates empathy.
And demonstrates the empathy.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, that was smooth.
Yep.
She's really good at that.
And it seemed to work just like a charm, it was a program that was executing.
Yeah.
Liana said, every time I would strategize with Evie, we went in different directions, unlike you and I, where we're thinking the same and want to play the same.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think makes her so dangerous, is that she does that so well. I don't know if she won't get found out, but so far, she and Ricard...
You have to rattle her and then get her when she's emotional, and then you can see it. Then the veil drops, and you can see that part of her.
When that happens is when she feels out of control.
Yes.
If she feels out of control, she's playing a whole different game. The paranoia, the everything is very different than when she feels like she has control on the people the puppets she's using.
Yep. She made that emotional connection. Let's cry together here on the hilltop with Liana, and it worked like a charm.
Yeah,
then she
and
carved
maybe it wasn't that. Maybe we're just being...
We could be reading too much in because we've done that before. Yep, and it could have been completely wholesome
sincere.
and true.
Yes, and completely sincere. I'm not discounting that.
No.
We're looking at the character playing in this game that we think
Yes.
that she's
I think
wise
she's
enough
got
to manipulate.
the dark powers of the Force working, that she will cultivate fear and anger and all those things instead of the positives necessarily.
Well,
when I saw her carve Liana away from Tiffany with that one simple, innocent question, and it outed Liana's information as power advantage.
And pull Tiffany in a little bit.
Yep, sure.
Like, oh, well, I feel comfortable enough with you. I could talk openly in front of you. So, anyway, we could be reading our own.
How about you? You're sticking with Deshawn, you said,
I'm
right?
Sticking with Deshawn.
Because we got off talking on my choice and why. But in terms of who I think can win, will I experience joy and happiness cheering for Shan? I don't think so, but I can recognize game and when someone's playing at a level that's beyond their competition. And I believe that's exactly what we saw Shan and Ricard do.
I would respect the gameplay regardless of what I thought about it, or if I enjoyed them as a winner. If somebody gets there through their gameplay, then kudos. And then I'll be okay with that. But would I cheer for either one of them for myself? I don't think so.
I was watching really close as they came together in the merge. I wanted to see if Tiffany was going to pick up on what Shan was doing, and I don't think that she's recognized it. I don't think.
And I think that's a first for her. She's
Evie
been
did
pretty
either.
dialed in. And I don't know if Tiffany's got
and she's
connections
got
now.
battle lines. Yeah, you could see how worried Deshaun was in tribal council. Did you say that in front of Tiffany when he went over to talk to Shan that second time when they went live the second time? His whole thing was, did you say that in front of Tiffany?
Yeah, because
Tiffany's over there sharing what. Yes, exactly. Yeah, but Shan's like dismissive. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They don't have the numbers. Well, hello.
But she wasn't listening to Deshaun and his
Exactly.
concern. Didn't acknowledge it.
Well, I think that could be her flaw, though, is that she's discounting too many people as being irrelevant or not having any game.
I think it won't show until it's too late.
Maybe.
She gets to work the subterfuge while they work on getting rid of Xander and Tiffany and Evie, and then they, then they drop Nasir and Erica after that, and eventually Danny and Deshaun are going to go, but it'll be too late. They won't be able to summon the numbers.
I very much enjoyed seeing that Xander had game and that he's willing to play, make the fake idol.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed that.
I want to say that's not all on him. I don't think he gets there without Tiffany and Evie making that possible and help coaching and all that. Certainly he came up and made his own fake idol. Awesome.
Yes.
And
he's the one that said, "Oh, hand me one of those clues too. This will look like I had."
it'll help really
that was his
seal
idea.
the fake. We got to see that.
They showed that. So
But
he did do that.
I don't think it was just the Xander show. I think Tiff and Evie contributed to all that, and certainly Evie sold it with the acting. And Tiff stayed quiet, and she didn't do too many eye rolls so that she caught Jeff's attention, so that she got busted, at least from the parts that we got to see.
Yeah, and Xander and Evie deserve awards for their performance. While Liana was being smug and reading, their performance was perfect.
Yep.
You could see Evie wanted to break out a smile, but
She did turn away at one point. You thought she might have been about to break character a little.
but she didn't.
Yeah. Nope, she held it.
And they were moving their hands a lot, and I felt like that was to distract them from their emotions. Like she was rubbing the back of her head, and he was doing something with his head, and it was like they were playing
selling
it up.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, oh no, when what they really wanted to do was rub it in, which Evie had to a little bit by saying, "Thanks, Liana." And Jeff's like, "Thanks.
Everybody's going to be
thanks for what?"
watching your words, Liana. Make sure that you're not hypocritical when it happens to
I
you.
was fine all day long. Yeah,
Are you
so
going
we
to
don't
accept
know.
it as just the game?
Yeah, we don't know what all of those other people that we don't know exactly where their alliance is, or if they have any alliance. They're going to go with the numbers as a voting block, or whatever works for them to get them further, as long as it's not me.
That's a path of least resistance.
Yeah, but
And
it's worked.
It's really, really hard not to take that. And, Erica was rattled, and she overcame, and she triumphed and all this, but, she's hungry for a break from that, too. So if Xander, Tiffany, and Evie can't wrangle them together to come up with a majority, it's going to be hard for things to play out in their favor. Even with Xander, I forget who was saying it, but he's going to have to go on an immunity run to make that possible. And there's 3 of them, and the most that he can come up with, unless they're doing male and female immunity. Do they do that for this challenge that's coming up, the immunity challenge, where they got to stand with the block on their head? Do they do a male and female?
I think so. I don't remember them doing that before.
They even it up to make sure everybody's height, so that they're.
That's the one
so
where
that
they
it's
have
fair.
to hold the block their head.
Yeah,
at
isn't
the
that the one
ends.
where Lauren fainted last time? Wasn't she doing that?
I don't know. Oh, somebody had an issue.
When Joe and Wigglesworth were
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
And David.
You sprung that on me. I don't know.
Sorry. Yeah. But you remember the brunette?
Yeah, yeah.
She fainted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. At least Xander still has his idol and an extra vote, which I think he'll try to play for them. But at this point, and with the question in loyalty with Evie, will he play it for them again? Or is he going to save that for himself?
He's going to try to win individual immunity
To keep
so that
him in
they'll
as
have
long as possible.
immunity idol for someone else, and then
Plus the extra
it's going to run out before they get there if they can't bring Erica and Heather and Nasir over to get control of the numbers.
Do you think Tiffany will not want to give it back?
No, she's gonna.
No, I think
she'll
she
give it
will,
back
yeah.
if she held it like that and then did what
and
he
said
requested.
it's not up to me. I don't
Yeah.
think she wants
That
the
was
target on her, and I think that's why she made it very plain. It's not mine. Whatever you say, it's not mine.
And she chose well.
Yeah.
Had she given it to Evie, Evie would have played it and it would have been wasted. So.
Yeah, Evie would have felt better though.
Yep.
Because you could tell when he turned to Evie and apologized before the last vote
Sorry,
was
Ev.
read. Sorry, Ev.
Yeah, sure.
I really thought you were safe, that
Yeah.
no one was going to vote for you. It's like, okay, but that showed your naivete as well. That, no, that's not a guaranteed.
Yep.
Maybe not everybody's buying everything you say now. They watched you perform this whole tribal council. So why are they going to buy into that? Maybe, maybe not.
Certainly his threat level rose.
Deshaun just did really a great job of scrambling to make certain it wasn't him.
Yep. Mission accomplished.
And so I think he created a lot of that hustle bustle. But anyway,
But he blew his extra vote too.
Well, that's true. But it made him feel better in the moment, so I guess it was worth it.
Hey,
to him.
as you can tell from the after talk here, we thoroughly
still
enjoyed it.
really-
Thanks to everyone who took the time to write in or send their recorded audios, all that. Your thoughts, share your thoughts, your predictions. We appreciate it. We enjoyed it, and look forward to always hearing from all of you and your different perspectives. Gives us food for thought and helps us make decisions. In some cases, you contributed to lots of points for people this week with all that fine conversation last week. We also want to say a big thank you to Tom for your donation, as well as Christy, Erica, and Hazel for those subscription donations. Thanks so much. We really appreciate your support.
Now, if you play in JSFL, don't forget to get your Week 8 selections in for your one person voted off and the 4 people you think will be safe and still in the game at the end of the episode. You also have the opportunity this week to select a new USB for a possible 5 points bonus if your original USB has already been voted out of the game. You can choose another one for a possible 5 points.
And if your USB is still in the game, like mine, but you'd like to change it to someone else, you may do that for a possible 10-point bonus if they win the season. After selecting a new USB, make sure to hit the submit button down at the bottom of the screen, then return to the picks page to see if that person is shown in bold print.
Okay, if you change your current USB, you cannot select your, go back to your original USB for 24 points. Once you give that up, you don't get it back. So
Yes.
make certain that's what you want to do before you do it, because you can go back to them, but then you're only going to get 10
You've already given
points.
up the 14 points.
That's right.
Yep.
So the website will accept the USB changes up until the deadline of 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time on Wednesday. This will be your only opportunity to select a new USB this season.
If you want to take part in these listener feedback shows, you can call and leave a voicemail, 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record an audio and attach it to an email, or just type up a quick text and send it to us. to Joanne and Stacy Show at gmail.com. Feedback's due noon Pacific time on Saturdays. Everybody did a great job getting their feedback in early, so it wasn't overwhelming with this large number. Even though we were still working on things on Saturday morning too. There was enough that came in, but it was great to have those in early. So those of you who sent them in even late, Jen, late at night, I appreciated that. Glad. I had just finished up Drew and Jeremiah's when you're.
She didn't send it in late. You went late at night.
Yeah, late at night. Yeah, not late after the deadline.
That which isn't usually late for us.
But it was fine because we're more night owls. That was fine. So I just got that ready and it was already done when I
faced
the.
We might be asleep in the mornings.
Saturday morning deluge that came in. Yep, good deal.
Okay, is there anything else we want to say about this episode? We've said a lot already.
Yeah, we have. It's fun. Good discussion. Needed a good, long, thorough discussion.
All right, well, we'll be back here on Wednesday with our recap.
Have a good one.